All right. 5 years ago, Miami and Florida got together in the season opener in Orlando. Here we are in 2024, and it's a Miami trip to the Swamp to open the season. Cam, what are your thoughts about your first look at the 24 schedule?
It's a dub. Starting right off the top, I said it before. They do have some players and everything. Like, I don't think that they're going to lay down and it's going to be, 63-0 or anything. But I said it even before we got Cam Ward. This is going to be the kickoff of his potential first team All ACC season in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville. That has to be a win. I am not entertaining anything else. If it is something else, I need to see what the rest of the season looks like. But I mean, like, you have to win that game. You have to win that game if you're Mario. I mean, this has to be, when Oregon went to Ohio State and like they rallied all of the troops and all of the trick plays and everything to win on the road in Columbus. This is a burn the boats situation. Like, it is because like they're not good. And their coach is embattled. I know that they got a couple really good recruits in DJ Lagway and McCray, sorry. But LJ McCray. But man, they whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed and whiffed in the world of recruiting. Like, they had guys leave that roster. I mean, you have ETN go to Georgia. They're, starting running back goes. I mean, Hatfields to McCoy's like across the rivalry lines. He's like, cool, like this is fine. I'm gonna go start over there and play for a real organization. You know what I mean? But like with all that going on and all that being in battle, like you cage or you put a wild animal in the corner, they're gonna fight back. But I don't care about them fighting back. You as Miami cannot be the win that buoys their situation. It cannot be like this year's basketball team that lost to a Louisville team that by all rights should have already fired their head coach. And I tweeted about it a week before it happened. I said, look, we dial in, get it right. Everybody's blowing them out. Play for real. And last year in a similar situation, they had a guard who went off for like 37 points and we barely won that game. This year, same thing, but Miami doesn't play. And then all of a sudden, for a week, they're like, hey, maybe we can turn things around because we beat Miami, because we showed this. You cannot have that in the world of football. You cannot be the stepping stone towards whatever, retention or settling of his job and everything. No, you must win the game. I don't care. We are going, and like, the legend of burning the boats. I know that like the Miami Heat fans who are in here know this because Spoelstra uses, but basically, Trojan or Greek warriors, they would take boats to places and blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to have boats because we go back and said, look, we're burning the boats. We're not running away. There will be no retreat. We are here 10 toes down. And the only thing that we're going to do is win this war, take over this place, and this will be where we will build new boats to then go back where we are from. But there is no other option. There is no, okay, if it's not going well, burn the boats. Everybody all the way in. Just like I'm talking about with the Lions, if you watch my tweets, every playoff game, so every week since week 16, I've said the same thing. Every player, every play, every second of the game, it is the most important thing that you have going. This is one of those situations. You cannot lose to them again. Period.
As we make it down through the rest of the schedule, and I respond to somebody who just dropped a super chat that we will get to as soon as we go through the scheduling analysis. Right. Get that win in Gainesville, and you got to think it's a 4-0 start, and also a pretty heavily favored situation against Virginia Tech at Hard Rock.
And Cal, so
yes.
like, yeah, I mean, FAMU, you know, come for the band, stay for the game. Testicle Tech, good old Ball State. Bring them down. That should be a win. Go up to USF. I mean, be sure
I've
that you're
never heard
dialed
that
in.
one
Weird
before.
things, huh?
I've never heard that one before. Testicle
I
Tech.
have friends who went there. It's up in northern Indiana, Muncie, Indiana, so
Yes.
very close to the border. But that's what they called it. So I learned that from people who went to Ball State. But USF. I was going to say, weird things happen. I know that they're building and everything. They played Alabama pretty close. Go back up. I want to see the top part of the schedule again because I'm going to make this point. And then Virginia Tech on a Friday. So a short week, but then you get that extra day going across country to the Bay Area to play at Cal and then a bye. So, yeah, you really should be looking at 6-0 in there. With the current formation of the Gators program, Miami should be favored in that game. I think they're going to be favored in all these other games reasonably. And then in week 7, you have a bye, which is huge. Because the last few years, our bye has been week 5. So it's been 4 games bye week and then 8 games straight. Now, the other thing with that is there's an extra Saturday in the window of the season. So teams get 2 byes. And I've even seen on the ACC schedule, there's a team with 3 byes. Who is it? It is SMU has 3 bye weeks during the season just because of the way that it falls. So I know that we have more teams in the ACC now and all this stuff, but finally we're at a point where they're not giving us this super early bye week like before. And I think that can be advantageous to continue, number one, the momentum from the early season, and number 2, having backloaded bye weeks. Like if you get a little dinged up like Miami did, now we all of our bye, because we have 2 bye weeks, are after October starts instead of one in September or the very top of October, but we have middle of October and then a November bye. That is so much better for the flow of the season. I've been calling and begging for them to remove the week 5 bye from our scheduling paradigm and especially engagement with Miami. I'm super excited to see that has changed. That's a really It's not a thing that a lot of people are going to say. That's a big win by dropping the bye week. Even though we have 2, it's still a big win to drop it.
Okay. Then it seems to get into the meat of the schedule, going to Louisville, and then, of course, the rival, and then some other ACC games.
Yeah, so this is the thing, so they're moving, the Florida State game around. So off of the bye at Louisville, and then, circle the date and mark your calendars, everything. Last Saturday of October, Miami and Florida State in Hard Rock Stadium. Then we get the Manny Diaz Bowl, Duke Blue Devils coming down the week thereafter. So I know that he's going to have them keyed up. I know he's going to be, and I know, they say, well, yeah, whatever. Listen, coaches are competitors too. So that he's going to want that game. But again, even just looking at the things, the games on the schedule or on the screen right now, what's a game that Miami won't be favored in? Maybe on the road at Louisville, but I don't think that that's going to hold up by the time we get there. Maybe Florida State, because that's a rivalry game and the line is close. But again, I don't see one that's, clear, 3 touchdown underdog. And then, go up to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech and Bobby Dodd. Hopefully we don't have any shenanigans like last year in the Georgia Tech game, which, Lord Jesus. And when I went on the basketball conference podcast, Joey, one of their co-hosts, my good buddy, is an alum of Georgia Tech. So but yeah, hopefully not that. But again, I don't see a game where Miami won't be favored. And then the second bye week, middle of November, in November 16th, because we have the extra week in the fall calendar. So October 12th, 1, 2, 3, 4 games, and then another bye November 16th. And then we come back for the closing sprint Senior Day against Wake Forest on the 23rd. I mean, again, Miami should be favored there. I know Dave Clawson coach teams are tough teams, and Wake Forest runs a unique offense, and they, but like, again, we should be favored there. And then for the first time in forever, we have the Saturday game, not Black Friday. So not the day after Thanksgiving, but the Saturday game at Syracuse and the JMA Wireless, dome up there. And again, I think that that's a game that Miami should be favored and reasonably win. Like this all flips up. And I mean, I know, like, is it possible that Miami could lose a game, couple of games, few games even? Yes. But like where we stand with what we got, again, it's us against ourselves, man. If we do what we need to do with the players that playing the way that they can show or have shown that they can play, it's all there for the taking. Miami is the favorite, the prohibitive favorite, has to be going into the season with the roster, the quarterback, and this schedule that we're talking about. Like, this got to be 10 or 11 regular season wins. And I know that is like triggering for people even to say those numbers or to really look at those as being the goal and target and things like that. But, it's all there. It's all there. And I know you're saying, but it's been there for us before. And we've had this malfunction and that. And, Georgia Tech, we're trying to get Don Chaney a 100-yard game and had the fumble, which wasn't a fumble because he was down. But still, you lose that game and da-da-da-da-da-da. And there's been times that there have been, right? But also, we have to move forward. We have to really be focused on that excellence. And you cannot let your mistakes of the past inhibit your performance moving forward. I'm going to use another very direct example with my Detroit Lions. You could not let the fact that Charles Rogers snapped his collarbone 2 years in a row and then got addicted to painkillers and then fell off in his performance. You could not let that preclude you from drafting Calvin Johnson because he played wide receiver, and the last wide receiver that we drafted, number 2, who's from Saginaw, went to Michigan State and was all-world everything. It didn't work out, so we cannot draft a wide receiver at number 3. You're out of your god-darn mind. Have you seen this freak 6'5", 240 pounds, running sub 4.4, like mid 4.3s? I get what you're saying, that the other one didn't work out. But that was then and this is now, and we have to go in this direction because this is the right direction. Bro, I know that, it's not even once bitten and twice shy. It's been like 17 times bitten over the last 20 years. But looking at this schedule, bro, it has to be double-digit regular season wins. It just absolutely does.
Kim, I am over here while you are pontificating, and I'm doing some work here because what I'm doing basically is we just went through the Florida State schedule. And for both of these teams being in the ACC, there's no comparison in these two schedules, as Miami should be able to clean up on this schedule, to your point. So how I like to break it down is throw out all the games that are the same, of course. Mm-hmm. They both play Georgia Tech, Cal, Duke. They play each other, of course. They both play Florida. So there are 6 games where they either play each other, they play a common opponent, or just throw out the Florida A&M versus the Charleston Southern game as being the same game. Forget that because they're both going to roll by 50 points. Okay, right. So you've got 5 games that are different. And if you put them in order of difficulty for Florida State, they are Clemson, Notre Dame in some order, North Carolina, Boston College, and SMU.
And we don't play any of them. By the way, any of those teams that you just listed, yes. Miami doesn't play a single one.
Well, that's my point. These are the games that are different from Miami's 5. They play 5 different teams. So that's Florida State's run. Miami's. So out of Miami's other games that they do not play that are like Florida State, that are not common opponents, how would you rank them in terms of difficulty? I guess Louisville's got to be the most difficult game. It's not even that close.
Right. So Louisville. It's Louisville, Virginia Tech, Cal, Duke, Wake Forest, or Wake
Uh,
Forest, Syracuse.
yeah, they played Duke as well. So it's actually USF and it's Ball State. I'm talking about the entire schedule.
Yeah.
So think of it this way, folks. Would you rather play Clemson, Notre Dame, North Carolina, Boston College, and SMU, or play Louisville, Virginia Tech, Cal, USF, and Ball State?
Oh, so those are the different games?
Those are the difference.
Oh, come on. Like, again, when you look at it like that, I mean, when you look at it in general, so those games that you're seeing, well, remove FAMU because that's an allegory for
Yes.
another, bye game. But Ball State, USF, Virginia Tech, Cal, and Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Louisville is the most
Yeah.
difficult game. And I mean, I know that they have 17 Miami transfers because like everybody transferred there,
Yes.
Jaleel Skinner and Donald Chaney, and I mean, even more. Like, I get it. But yeah, if you were to list, like, if we were to go down, okay, the quality, like the top programs in the ACC, right? And we were to go down that list, Florida State somewhere at the top. I don't like to say it, but fine. Miami's up there. Then how long until you get to Louisville? Because I'm taking, I mean, in an associated way, I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm taking Clemson. I'm probably taking Carolina. SMU, there's an argument there. So all these teams are teams that Florida State is playing that we're not playing, and they're, the better teams in the league. Like, this is cream puff. This is, if you are a top tier team, you are thanking your lucky stars for this. Like, this schedule, man. Like, again, yeah, I know that we play Florida State every year, and fine, we have, so Virginia Tech, remember, is a tentpole team. That is a protected rivalry every single year. So we play them every single year, and we play Florida State every single year. Those are the new 2 protected rivalries. It just so happens in the rotation we're playing Louisville again, but as we've added these new teams, it's only 2 protected rivalries, not that 3, when they're trying to make fetch happen with Miami, Louisville. And I get it because they recruit a lot down here and whatever. But those are the 2, right? So our protected rival is like a mid-tier team, and then Florida State and everything. But we're missing all of the other more talented, better, more successful teams. Like, if you're like, yeah, okay, what would my ideal schedule be to be successful, right? In even, whatever, North Carolina, it's 5 in a row and 7 out of 9 that they've beaten us. So for whatever reason, even if like they're a middling outfit because like they're losing to all these other teams, they're not losing to Miami, right? Cool, they're not there. Clemson, we finally slayed that dragon after getting drugged to 937-3 over 5 games or whatever it was. Beat them last year, but that's still a very talented team. They're not on there. Notre Dame, very talented program. They're not on there. Like, if you're looking down and saying, hey, what are the teams that I don't want to have on this schedule, or if they were not on the Miami schedule, would make it advantageous for Miami? Again, with the exception of Florida State, who we play every year, every one of the teams on that list is not on this schedule. That's what I'm talking about, and I appreciate the banter back and forth to show and illustrate that. This schedule is so incredibly handpicked by your deity of choice to be like, Miami, here. You know what I mean? If you're, you're waiting for a sign, or you're looking for that help, or you're looking for a path you can traverse, you're saying, hey, like, I know that God gives his soldiers the hardest battles, but like, yo, can I get something that's manageable? There, like, fine, heard, prayer delivered, praises go up, blessings come down in the form of this schedule, guys. That's what I'm talking about. And we have to strike while the iron's hot. Because you're not going to miss all these teams pretty much ever again in any single season. So, and because I think this is a 2-year rotation, I know they're going to look and be like, bro, We didn't give Miami and again, a Miami team that still does television numbers. So the bigger television brands of Carolina, Notre Dame, Clemson, not on this schedule, saying, yo, look, we're trying to keep up, not even keep up with the Joneses. We're trying to keep up with whoever lives next to the Joneses because SEC and Big Ten are doing all these numbers. So we have this incredible television property and we're not giving them premium games on the list. What are we doing? We have to change this up. You're not going to get this kind of a cakewalk ever again. It is really incumbent upon Miami and Mario Cristobal. Like, this is, if ever there was a time to show and prove, this is it. You have recruited 3 recruiting classes, even if, for the real formation, I've said, a couple of years ago was year 0, last year was year 1, this year's year 2. If you're looking, no, this is year 1, 2, and this is coming into year 3, this is when you have to show and prove. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, the propensity for a team or a coaching staff to really elevate and start winning 9 and 10 games, it hits in year 3. This is that. And you have just obviously there's professional coaches on both sides. There's scholarship players on both sides, right? But comparatively, you should be, this is Lionel Richie easy like Sunday morning. Bro, like, if ever there's a time and you need and want another top 5 class, you need to show and prove. We had to hit that, tangible work product of giving wins and a thing for these recruits to really latch on to, trying to elevate this, that, the third, all these other things. This season has to be it. Come hell or high water, man. Like, it really does. This is a gift of a schedule. It honestly and truly is. And we have to take advantage of it. And because I dare and defy to look forward to, the next time. Let me actually look on if I go to future Miami football schedules, get out of here, add, in 25, you got USF, Florida, both coming to Hard Rock, but then also you have Notre Dame. In 26, South Carolina and Notre Dame on there. 27, South Carolina. Like, even that right there, you start to see, yeah, and I guarantee you, when they look at the rotation for these 2 years, the ACC will say, maybe we threw them a bone because Miami's been bitching and complaining, even though it's been, in that very, let me speak to your manager kind of a way, because we're a private school, instead of the I'm yelling and screaming and flipping tables way that Florida State has gone about things, right? But so we're going to throw them a bone. We're going to meet them halfway. But, like, that was the one. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be every time that you walk into my Starbucks store, where I used to work at. Let me talk to the manager. Let me talk to the manager. Let me talk to the manager. You get like one of those. And I think that this is the one. So we have to take advantage of it. We